You guys set?
Okay. If we could reconvene our meeting to open session, the board has been in executive session since 6 o'clock to discuss 5 tenure candidates and a contractual matter. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Introductions.
Dave Hurst.
Catherine Nadeau.
John Walston. Ewan McKnight.
Jody Monroe. Holly Dellenbaugh, Meredith Community.
Robert Tejan.
Lauren Grasso.
John Phillips.
Do we have any PIG SUPA students here tonight? Welcome. Thanks for coming. Before you leave, make sure you guys sign out. There's some sign out sheets up here that you get credit for being here. And your obligation is to stay until 9 o'clock or when the meeting is over, whichever one comes first. First is our approval of minutes. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the December 18th, 2024 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. Item 3, meeting reports. First is our superintendent's report.
Sure. So first up is our girls cross-country team. When we were recognizing our fall team, you guys were busy running. Yes. So we're going to turn it over to Mr. Keys, our athletic director. We want to recognize they had a phenomenal season. So, yeah, so we are going to, you want to bring them up?
Yeah.
Call them up
Yep.
and should we do it?
I was just going to say a few words. We have
Yes.
a lot of accolades to
Okay.
get to. So as Ms. Monroe said, about a month ago, we were able to honor the rest of our outstanding fall teams. We had an incredible fall, none more so than this group of young ladies. So tonight I want to present to you the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Class A state champions, led by Coach Tucker Strapowitzki, assisted by Darnell Douglas. So just a little bit, and then we'll meet the girls. Team sported a perfect 12-0 dual meet record, was undefeated in invitational competition, swept through Albany County, the Suburban Council, Section 2 Class A champions, along with the New York State Federation Cup, which was a huge piece. I know we've been trying to tackle Saratoga the last couple of years, and we caught them by a lot. We received the #1 ranking in New York State, as well as the nation, leading into the Nike Cross Nationals, which, as Ms. Monroe mentioned, first week of December, our girls were out in Oregon competing, which is the best of the best. We came in 5th in the nation, and it's the 3rd consecutive year that our girls have received that bid, which is extremely difficult to get. So with that, let's meet the ladies. Charlotte O'Meara. Senior, come on up, Charlotte. Congratulations. Just go over here.
Right in the front. Okay.
Kate Bannigan, senior. Congratulations. Logan Kuhn. Congratulations. Anna Strapowitzki. Congrats. Tess McNamara. Sydney Graham. And our 8th grader, Sophia Kromzak. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep, sure can. I'm going to take about 10. Just make sure I get eyes open. Perfect. All right, congratulations.
Joanne, you don't need this?
One other thing, I'm going to turn it over to John to talk about some EV grant funding.
So as we begin to embark on our 25-26 budget process, there is some funding available from the Environmental Protection Agency's Clean School Bus Program. The challenge is in terms of timing. So as the Business Office of Transportation present options to the board for consideration for future bus acquisitions, if there will be bus acquisitions, I wanted to at least put a stake in the ground for available funding if the district should so qualify. For the EPA Clean School Bus Initiative, we were looking at funding associated with small EV buses. Those are new EV buses that are now available. You may recall we currently have 10 large buses as part of our fleet. Those Type A buses, as they are referred to, are eligible for up to $115,000 in Environmental Protection Agency funding. We can apply for that funding no later than January 14th. So in coordination with Matthews Buses as a third-party administrator for the district, we've started that application process. Just in full transparency, I wanted the board and the public to know that we are pursuing that grant opportunity. If the district is so awarded that grant opportunity, there's no commitment. It's not obligated to either purchase the bus or use that grant funding, but there was a date certain to get that application in. The district could also make itself available of the NYSERDA New York State Bus Initiative Program for an additional $100,000 that can be used to stack against the EPA grant funding if it was so awarded. So we'll pursue that process as well in parallel, and as we have additional discussions during the budget process, I can advise the board and the public where the district stands with regard to those applications if it was awarded, as well as the arithmetic in terms of what those two grant fundings do to the overall net cost of those buses.
John, I thought, maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, I thought NYSERDA had said that we couldn't stack the funding after, only from last year, but moving forward we couldn't. Has that changed?
So you can stack it, they just changed the dollar value of the stacking. So if you were to apply the NYSERDA, we'll take the Type A buses as the example, $115,000 available from the EPA, $161,000 available from NYSERDA as standalones. If you win the EPA grant award, NYSERDA drops its grant allocation to no more than $100,000. So you can still stack, you just don't get the full value of both funding streams as we had been able to take advantage of in the past.
All right, thanks.
John, I think I know the answer to this, but applying for the grant and in these programs, does it tie us into any determinations with the buses? It's just a placeholder in case things work out.
My goal here is, should the board and the public, because it will be on a bus ballot, so desire a bus, trying to minimize the local taxpayer impact of the purchase price of those buses.
Thank you.
Would we know about any grant award prior to the budget vote, or is that?
That depends. So I don't know quite where they would be at the decision timeframe. So we would have to be careful with our wording of the bus proposition
That's what I was
language
getting at.
as we were in the past, and not to exceed amount. If such grant funding was received, if grant funding was not received, we'll work on the language in the same way.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions, or John?
And that's all I have for the superintendent's report.
Next up is the board report. I just wanted to say Happy New Year and welcome back to everybody. And I just wanted to recognize everybody who helped out with the Arts Night tonight and the Empty Bowls fundraiser. I got my pottery and my soup and my recipes, so I'm looking forward to that. So thank you for everybody who took part in that. Ewan?
I also enjoyed my soup, and just last night, it's been a busy week. We had the Poetry Out Loud contest here. So congratulations to Kieran McNair and to Laura Woods, who won kind of represented nationals in 2 weeks, I think. Regionals in 2 weeks. I'm still trying to get Andrew Ricketts for adult poetry out loud because I just love the poems. It's great.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. Do we have anybody here from Student Senate?
come on down.
Hello, I'm Jake Soka. I'm the treasurer for Student Senate this year. I'm in 11th grade, and currently we are working to plan for the Winter Ball on February 8th. Last year we did the Valentine's Dance. That was less of a hit, so we're going back to the Winter Ball, what we've done for the past 2 years and so on. We have a couple ideas floating out there, but it's just the beginning. It's about a month away, so we're getting on it. We've assigned some people, some jobs to start working on. We'd like to make some ads and maybe put them on the TV in the foyer next to the lunchroom. But that's about it. There's no concerns going on in Student Senate so far.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There's no middle school reps tonight.
No, I didn't think so. I was looking. So next up is our presentation this evening. We have a presentation about enrichment opportunities at the high school by Dave Gamel.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Dave Domel. I'm the principal at the high school. Talking tonight about enrichment opportunities and kind of floating around ideas as to what to share. There's so much that goes on in the high school. Enrichment opportunities really is unique to the high school as opposed to the other schools in the district. Due to the age of the students, we are able to access a lot more field trips, hands-on experiences, cultural immersive experiences. So I thought this would be a good thing to share because it is rather unique to the high school. So what exactly are enrichment opportunities? They're real, as I said, real-world experience, hands-on exposure, cultural immersive experiences, really extending the classroom outside the wall, extending the learning outside the walls of the classroom. Before I get into highlighting some of those experiences and opportunities, I just want to take a moment to thank the teachers, the counselors, and staff that work so hard to coordinate such events. It's not easy to ask teachers to take on this added responsibility. They initiate it on their own in their already difficult schedules. I try to emphasize that with the students so they understand the great opportunities due to the genuine passion of our staff and that they have towards providing them with the best possible education. I also want to thank you all. Without the support of funding from the Board of Education and district administration, many of these experiences would not be possible, so thank you from me, the students, and the teaching staff. So tonight, I'm just going to provide some insight into the many opportunities we provide students. I'm going to really highlight some of the opportunities that have already happened this year, just a few of those. I'm going to talk about the who goes on the trips, who's involved with the experiences, the opportunities, what they do, and then how it's connected to curriculum. And at the end, I'm going to highlight, I thought it would be important to bring a staff member with me that recently went on a trip, took a bunch of students, including student Dave Domel here, to Gettysburg to experience an unbelievable tour of the battleground. So before I get into this year's experiences, I wanted to just show you a bunch of the different opportunities from last year. So if you look up there, there's a lot of variety. Some of these will continue. They'll be consistent from year to year, but some will vary based on student interest and teacher interest. So what you see from one year may be different from the next, but also there are some common themes with trips based on, as you'll see tonight, some courses that align with them. So what I would like to highlight tonight for you all is our New York City trip, Spanish Repertory Theater trip, Fusion Latino Flamenco show that we went to, our trip to Albany County, New York State Police Aviation, Greene County, and then, as I said, finally, with our Gettysburg trip. So starting with New York City, who goes? We have a History of New York City class. We have a AP Human Geo class and our SUPA class. Those are students that are involved. They tour Lower Manhattan, Staten Island Ferry, ride to see the Statue of Liberty from the perspective of immigrants, arriving to Ellis Island, Chinatown, Washington Square Park, and Highland Chelsea. The students complete an assignment when they come back. It's all related to their visit, and then part of that is then they will present to their peers in that class. Beyond the exposure to New York City and the visits to the specific locations, students also learn a valuable lesson about how to walk city streets, which is, as you can imagine, with 70-plus students coming from Del Mar, it's one of the first lessons they have to learn when they get off the bus. Many of them will also learn how to take the subway for the first time. So these are life experiences that will also benefit them moving forward beyond the culture and history of the city. This is one of our more popular trips, as we're extremely lucky to be so close to New York City. And as you'll see, there's another trip in here that is to New York City as well, which is our Spanish repertory theater trip that we took. Students involved are intermediate Spanish honor students. They attended an off-Broadway show and had lunch at an authentic Mexican restaurant. I'd like to highlight the how. It's not only are many students immersed in this cultural experience, which is very important, but many of the first generation students feel a connection to the struggle identified in the main character, which really supports our sense of belonging and diversity here at the high school. So that was a great opportunity that I'm very thankful for our teachers providing this year. This was a new one this year. There's some photos of our awesome students and a cover of the program. Next experience is the Fusion Latino Flamenco Show. Our Spanish 3 students were able to attend this. Luckily, it's great when we have opportunities that are close. Transportation is really the big chunk of the budget when we go on these trips or experiences. This was at Burn Hills. They viewed a performance, the flamenco show, and several students actually were able to get up on stage, participate. The field trip enriches the Spanish 3 curriculum by providing the immersive experience. I was able to get a quote from a student that I know fairly well that was part of the trip. Her name's Juliana Domel, and I asked her, I said, hey, yeah, I'm doing this presentation. What do you got for me in terms of how it benefited from you as a student? I hear what the teachers are telling me, how did it benefit you? She said instead of just seeing and hearing in class, you experience culture, clothing, dance, instrumentals, instruments, in person, making it come to life. It made it even more meaningful because you realized how important and special it is for individuals and their culture. So I was like, wow, okay, that I guess that worked then. Normally I don't get a response from my kids when I ask them about school. So that just kind of shows you the excitement, the impression, it can have, these things can have. I'm sure if I asked her what she did for the last 2 months in Spanish class, she'd probably do the typical, what do you want to know? I'm not sure at school. So these experiences and these trips have an impact on the students. Firsthand, I can tell you that. The trips to the correctional facility, New York State Police Aviation, Greene County Correctional Facility, this is all done through our Law and Life class. The students are able to tour the facilities, ask questions, both the employees and the inmates. I've been on a couple of these. They're eye-opening. And the thing I want to say, these students are all interested. Naturally, they took this elective. They're interested in pursuing careers in law, justice, the legal system. Some come back super enthusiastic and more passionate. where others may recognize some of these spots may or may not have been what they were thinking they were, and which is great because they're learning what works for them, what they may like, may not like, and they can now see where they want to pursue further as they leave here, whether it's going to the work world or college, instead of going through college, getting into that job, and then realizing it's not what they thought it was. We need good people in our justice system. Obviously, we're fostering that with real-life experiences in our overall education here at BCHS. So those are opportunities right there that I think really have an impact for kids, beyond these walls. So there obviously are more things we did in the fall, experiences. There's stuff coming up. It's that list that I showed you in the beginning. By the end of this year, it'll be the same, if not bigger. But another great opportunity, Macbeth, is going to be it's going to be performed in front of our whole 10th grade, all our 10th grade students. We luckily were able to get a company that's coming here, which is kind of something that companies are realizing schools are struggling with costs of transportation, so they're offering this more now, which is awesome. So that'll be in our auditorium for our grade 10 students. We have our trip to Montreal. The reason I put Science Olympiads and Masterminds is because the enrichment front that you provide us, we are able to help support them in their efforts. The Sage and Hudson Valley tours are really targeting students that we're really encouraging, trying to get them excited about moving to something beyond Bethlehem. So taking them on campus, letting them see a college campus, maybe becoming excited about what college looks like or programs at those colleges. That's what those trips are geared towards. And then our art department is always doing a lot of great things in taking students to locations that fit with the curriculum. So the reason I highlighted tonight the Gettysburg trip, and I'm going to ask for you to get a teacher perspective. When I was a student, I loved history in school. I was lucky enough when Anthony, Mr. Wilson, asked if I would be a chaperone. I jumped at the opportunity. I was hoping the trip would work out. Again, it's a lot of coordination. A lot of things had to happen before it was approved and went on. So once he got the green light, we got the green light, I was on board. Mr. Wilson's knowledge and experience with Gettysburg honestly blew me away. Anyone with an appreciation of history would fall in love with the experience that he provided to the students. He alone does everything. He does the coordination. He does he's the tour guide. He keeps everyone stable when things can get a little rowdy. He gets them all to dinner. He's serving everyone pizza. I don't know where his energy comes from, but bless him for that, because he's a remarkable teacher and an amazing tour guide. And I don't believe anybody, even if I went there and paid a lot of money for a tour, I don't think it ever would have been as good as what Anthony gave us. So I'm going to ask, before I ask him to come up here, I'm just going to show a few pictures of the visitor center, a couple of the monuments that we were able to go to. There was so much to see and cram into 2 days, and he got it all done. These are another picture of the visitor center, a couple of monuments, and also we did a ghost tour the first night we were there. That night we did a ghost tour, which was a lot of fun, walking around the town of Gettysburg. And then this is just a small video of what it's like to be a student for Mr. Wilson on the trip, without sound.
Yesterday and on July 1st, the armies are coming from over there. The Union Army is coming from behind us. Actually, this road right here is the Emmitsburg Road. It is going to be kind of the focal point a little bit later when we do the walk.
So in that video, oh boy, in that video, that Anthony, not only does he understand the history of it, but the whole strategy of how the battle played out, he's giving you feel like you're right there. Nothing's changed. It's the first time I've been to Gettysburg. Nothing has changed there in a long, long time. So what you're seeing, a lot of it is what was there. So to be able to put yourself there in real time and having him tell you exactly what was happening with both armies and how everything played out was a truly amazing experience for me, and I know for the students as well. And then I'm going to introduce Mr. Wilson. Right, there's one more slide. You wrote one more slide. I think it's just pictures though on the next one.
Yeah, you can put that one up though. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, thanks, Ms. Monroe, for allowing the trip to happen. It was a logistics feat to get it done. We did it a couple years, well, more than a couple years ago now, before COVID hit, right before COVID and then after COVID. So before COVID, I went a couple times. You know, the issue's always cost. You know, the bus is the gigantic lion's share of it. You know, but it wasn't as much before COVID. And then COVID happened, and unfortunately, we were unable to get the trip to go. And then last year, you know, we just couldn't really get it off the ground. So I decided to try one more time this year. You know, usually last year I got the most students ever to sign up, was about 35 or 40. So I thought that was pretty good, because usually I only offered it to my wars class, because it primarily focuses on the Battle of Gettysburg. But then as I got thinking, you know, we talk about Gettysburg in every single class, so why not offer it to my other students? And also that would make the financial burden less if there's more kids. So I opened it up this year, got the approval. I wanted to make sure how many kids I would get, so I opened it up to all 5 of my classes, and I think like 90% of my kids signed up. I mean, pretty much was, you know, there were only a few that didn't. So then I had to go to a lottery because the bus only has 55 seats. So anyway, I had to, you know, we went to a lottery system. So we filled the bus, 54 students were on the trip. In terms of my reasoning for why, you know, why I want to go to Gettysburg, first and foremost, my family's from Southern Pennsylvania. First time I went, I was 9 years old. I'm a history geek. You know, I love history. I'm Civil War buff. Not to get dressed and go around in Civil War attire like some, but I pride myself in immersing myself in Civil War history. You know, and the fortunate thing, you know, a lot of our students think that Albany's boring and there's not a lot going on, but Albany's ground zero for early American history in a lot of ways. But in addition to that, we are lucky in that we live within 2 of the most important battles of our history, being Saratoga and Gettysburg, and arguably the other one would be Normandy, which I would love to take a field trip to Normandy. But Gettysburg and Saratoga, you know, and in doing some teacher, you know, some teacher experiences with teachers from all across the country. They come in from California and from other places, and they say they really wish they could get their kids to Gettysburg, but when you're in California, obviously the costs are enormous for public schools to get here. So for me, it's like we have this treasure, which by all accounts is, if not the bloodiest, the most important battle in American history. And we have some minor logistics that we can surmount to get there. So why not try to get as many of the students to go to Gettysburg as possible? You know, and in our modern times where, you know, we got all the computers and all that stuff going on, you know, if you look at the pictures here, there's nothing like actually being there and walking the ground. And I had the kids do Pickett's Charge, which is the culmination of the battle. It started the day in that video, it was pretty cold, but by the time they did Pickett's Charge, they're all sweating because it got to like 75 degrees, which ended up being a really beautiful day, as you can see the sunrise and everything there. But to immerse themselves in actually being on the ground where so many of our countrymen who were their age, many of them who are 16 and 17 and fought and died for an ideal that we all are trying to aspire to, And especially the trip was kind of poignant in that it was just before the election and America's divided, and they're on this battlefield where America was divided, and yet they were fighting for this ideal. And so for us to be there and to be able to walk it and to be able to kind of share it together, and all the different perspectives that the kids have, I feel like that's a great learning opportunity. I can't recreate that in D210, no matter how much I try or how many pictures I show or how good my stories are. Nothing pales in comparison to, being actually there and immersing yourself in on the battlefield. I had them sit on the wall where the two sides fought and finished up the battle. And then I left them there with a kind of a few moments to just soak it in and look. And if we can do that more often than not, it really adds the value of like physically being in this history that we try to make relevant to them every day. And I was saying to one of my classes today, like things that happened in the Civil War are still happening today, and the effects of the war are still happening today. For them to see it and then actually feel it and be there, it's definitely beneficial. And I tell them, you're never going to really remember what I say in class, but they're going to remember sitting there on that few minutes on that battlefield. That's something that they're going to look back and they might remember me like, hey, Mr. Wilson took me to Gettysburg, or maybe they're dragging their kids to Gettysburg and say, hey, Mr. Wilson brought me here. I remember this. I don't remember what he said, but I remember sitting right here, and I remember being here, and that's really what matters. So thank you for listening. I don't know if you have any questions or.
In general, I just want to echo what Mr. Domel said at the beginning, which is thank you for taking the time and putting in the effort to organize trips like this with you and all the other teachers and staff that do this. I think all the field trips and these kinds of opportunities, when they come into the school, are great because I think they really do bring things to life for the kids. So thank you for making the effort.
My son was on that trip. Had a great time.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
I had a couple questions that might be better for you, Dave. And I know that the cost of the buses is obviously a big obstacle, but has it gotten easier to actually find the buses? Because I know there was a period of time where it was hard to get them.
Yeah, that's definitely easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other stumbling blocks, obstacles that you run into in terms of planning them?
I would just say that the biggest thing is just all the coordination that goes into them. I don't think that and part of it for me personally is I have a set amount of money. So I never know how many people are going to ask me to go on trips or have experiences throughout the year. So for me, it's tricky to say I'm going to allocate this amount because I only have a certain pool. And then all of a sudden we get to May or March or whatever, and you have 5 more people, and if I give too much, and now I don't have any to contribute, that's the only tricky, which has happened. But then I tell them, if you want to go next year, you'll be the first one that I'll kind of dedicate some money to. So that really is the tricky thing, is figuring out, all right, this department, this teacher. How much can I give to support you guys to offset the cost? Because I'm not paying for every trip outright, right? So it's trying to offset the cost for the kids and the families, and that's probably the trickiest thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the kids that would not want to go on the trip but maybe can't pay their additional
Yeah, we take
share,
care of all of that.
Does that come out of the same
It can.
money, or is there
it can come out of that. Typically, it will. That I'll usually that's what I'll usually try to use. Definitely use some of that money for. There's some other areas that I can go to. Yeah. But yeah, there's never a trip that if there's a fiscal issue and they want to go, they go. Yeah. Yep.
I just want to make sure that was clear to everybody.
Yep.
Other questions that people have?
I mean, I can't say it necessarily better than Holly did, but I will just add in my thanks as well. These, as you said, coordinating. I can't imagine. I've coordinated trips for kids, but not not across state lines, not with this number of kids. I can only imagine the extra effort, time, care, worry, and and just love that goes into pulling these opportunities together, and they are tremendous opportunities. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next is our recognition of public comment on an agenda item. If we have anyone who would like to address the board on an agenda item, now would be the time to come up to the microphone. Item 6, action items. A, finance action items. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following finance action items 1 and 2.
Can we have a little more information on 2? I don't.
Sure. Did you have a specific question you wanted to ask John?
It's, yeah, I mean, it's for some software, but it wasn't clear to me what the software actually does.
Appreciate that question. The Transportation Department uses a software application and suite known as VersaTrans. Does much of everything under the hood, so to speak, for transportation routing and the like. That is the older version of that platform. Traversa is the newer, upgraded version of that platform. Same company, Tyler Technology, does both VersaTrans and Traversa. Bethlehem is just using the older version of that routing software. Over the course of the last few months, most recently, right before the holiday break, Transportation, Tyler Technologies, Business Office Information Technology met to sort of review that software suite and application, and I don't think I can sum it up any better that Transportation was ecstatic in terms of the functionality, that they were able to reroute and route and change bus routes and pickup locations all with a point and click of the mouse. Right now, the current version is a little bit antiquated and outdated. We do not get refreshes of maps from changes in street locations or directional changes and what have you. This will sync up. We are using currently some modules in Traversa presently, namely the fuel management system, as well as the parts, repairs, and inventory module as well. So this is simply a phasing out of the old version, implementation of the new application platform. You'll see there are some data conversion costs because we need to take the data that are currently in our old system, bring them, and then import them into the new version of the module.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Yes.
I'm glad that you mentioned that IT was included in the meeting. Erin, you're comfortable with?
Yes.
Thank you.
And there's a new app that actually works that I think everybody's
Okay. Does it talk to the other apps? I look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
So that we, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. B, professional personnel action items. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following professional personnel action items 1 through 18.
So moved.
Second. I just would like to recognize some of the retirements that are on here. There are some people retiring that have given a lot of years to the district, and we will miss them.
We had a question that was actually raised, I didn't see an answer to it. One on here that's got a particular $600 per day stipend. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's a normal pay level.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. C, support personnel action items. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following support staff action items 1 through 6.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. D, other action items. It is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the following action item number 1.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, just a quick question. Can we just clarify, when these come through, these are recommendations coming from the Committee on Special Ed or Committee on Preschool Special Ed, and these are concerning particular students, and if my understanding is correct, that is why we do not have additional details about the specific
Correct.
recommendations coming forth, right? Because that was a question that
Correct,
I'd
it's
received.
confidential.
Right, exactly. So this is confidential information that and the board is certifying these recommendations. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries. Item 7, recognition of public comment on a non-agenda item. If anyone would like to address the board on a non-agenda item, now is the time to come up to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Joe Murphy. I'm a parent here in the school district. I've one student currently in school, one student graduated last year. Just briefly want to extend my thanks to all of you and to the greater school community for the great job you did in very difficult circumstances last fall during the swatting incidents. I know it was a difficult time for everyone. As parents, parents talk to each other, and we were, sharing our concerns and our fears and information. And, we don't, in modern society, we don't always get correct information from people, from institutions, and it can be very frustrating. It was very refreshing under difficult circumstances to know that when we got an email or a text from the school district, we know we were getting the straight news, whether it's good or bad. You told us what you knew, you told us what you didn't know. So that was very reassuring in a difficult circumstance. Also, the students told us what experiences they had, and, we know that under difficult circumstances, the staff and the teachers were taking care of our kids, and that means a lot. And I know that you all hear it when something goes wrong. I know I've probably relayed one or two of those concerns myself at some point, so I want to make sure that you get the positive feedback too. So thank you, it means a lot. It's not from me, I've talked to a lot of other parents. I think a lot of other people feel the same way. So please know that we appreciate it, and to the extent that you can, let your staff and your teachers know as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 8, future meetings and events. On Monday, January 13th, at 6 o'clock, we have a policy committee meeting here in the district office. And then our next regularly scheduled board meeting is on Wednesday, January 22nd, anticipating executive session at 6 and reconvening to open session at 7. And that meeting is at Glenmont Elementary School. And I'll ask Brittany if she could send us all a reminder that day so that we all go to the right place. And then our meeting after that is on Wednesday, February 5th, and that's back here at the high school. Again, anticipating executive session at 6 and reconvening to open session at 7. Seeing no need to go back into executive session, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. And our students, just come up and make sure you